Howdy YouTube. I hope you are all doing well during this most confusing of times, I suppose. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about the coronavirus. My opinions, my thoughts, my recommendations surrounding this recent viral outbreak. I've also written an article, and I'll link that to the description below, so feel free to read that as well. And a lot of what I will say will basically be summarizing what I've written in that article. Okay, so with regard to the coronavirus and the recent actions that the government has taken to try and prevent the further spread of the virus, it's my opinion that the countermeasures that have been given are too extreme, too much of an overreaction. And I just want to make it clear that I am not a medical professional, and the views, my opinions, they are strictly my own. Now, this lockdown that has been placed, I'm from the United Kingdom, but a lot of what I say will be universally applicable no matter where you are. But anyway, I will speak with regards to the situation in the United Kingdom specifically. So the government lockdown has taken place, and the government has advised UK citizens to maintain a social distancing protocol in order to slow down the spread of the virus and to help protect those who are at great risk in contracting the virus, such as the elderly, people with weak immune systems, etc., etc. Now, in my opinion, this is what I would consider an extreme measure, and it is also one of the main causes which is causing people to overreact and panic and become fearful against what in reality is, for the most part, a largely non-existent threat. If we look at the facts, out of everyone that we know who has been infected with the virus, only 1% of those infections are fatal. So, for the most part, the threat isn't going to wipe out humanity. If anything, it will cause an inconvenience for the people who are infected. But that's where it ends. It's just an inconvenience where people will suffer for, a few weeks or whatever it is, and then bam, back to normal. So I don't really understand why the government has gone into such lengths to try and contain this outbreak. Like, if I was in the position to make the call, I would have said, okay, for anyone who is, elderly, or who has a weak immune system, or basically anyone who fits into the categories where you are more likely or at risk at contracting the virus, place them under lockdown, keep them isolated. But for everyone else, the vast majority of people who are, completely, fit and healthy, there's absolutely no need to impose our freedom, the freedom of the entire country. In my opinion, it's just completely unnecessary. Completely over-exaggerated, and it is this kind of measures which causes people to overreact and fear and panic. Because most people are going to think, oh wow, the government's really stepping down on this, it must be super duper serious. And with the lockdown in place, that's just going to cause people to hoard, stocks and supplies and food, etc. The virus is dangerous, yes, it's highly contagious. I'm fully aware of that. And of course, people have died, due to the coronavirus. It has killed people. But if you look at the numbers in the grand scheme of things, it's like a tiny speck of people who have actually been killed off by the virus. And everyone else is largely unaffected. Only a small portion of people get infected. And from that small portion, even a smaller amount are killed off. So I just think the government has handled this in the wrong way, in my opinion. And I'm going to be saying in my opinion a lot, because I want to really make sure that you the watcher, understands that this is solely, my view or my opinion. So yeah, I mean, if I was the government, what I would have done is just, place the elderly and the vulnerable under lockdown and basically keep everything else business as usual. But yeah, the current state of affairs is rather unfortunate, I think. Sporting events have closed down, schools have closed down, workplaces have closed down. This situation is going to cause huge economic implications for certain businesses. Hospitality being a prime example that is going to be majorly affected until this lockdown is lifted. In my opinion, my recommended course of action for individuals would be to maintain a high level of hygiene, which really I shouldn't even need to say that. This is something everyone should be doing anyway, regardless of whether there's a viral outbreak or not. You should always be maintaining a high level of hygiene. So the fact that I even have to mention this is a bit ridiculous, but there, I've said it. Exercise regularly, you've got to keep that immune system healthy, and exercise is probably the best way of doing that. Try and eat healthy foods. Obviously, with this lockdown and some food supplies being, withheld. I'm in shopping. I'm just going a small tangent. I'm in shopping today, and there's no eggs. People have hoarded them. It's all gone. And I'm a bit sad about that because it's not. Look, eggs are a core part of my diet. But it's not the end of the world. It's not like there's no food at all. That would be bad. So putting things into perspective, it's an inconvenience, but there's other foods that I can have. I can get by just fine. But that's at the moment. If this lockdown continues, I don't want to fearmonger people. That's what seems to be what the government's doing a little bit. But yeah, if this lockdown does continue, for an extended period of time, I can see things getting pretty nasty. Seriously. with the amount of people who have overreacted, panicked and feared due to these recent circumstances, if that is allowed to, sit and foster within individuals, it's going to erupt at some stage. There's going to be a breaking point. And I don't fully know what will happen if such a point is reached, but honestly, I could see people turning against each other. If people continue to hoard their supplies and stuff, and there are others that know about it, I could definitely see conflicts arising within the country due to people being greedy and overcautious, I suppose. Things could get really serious, I think. But anyway, yeah, back to I can talk a bit more about that later, but back to my recommendations. Yeah, exercise, eat good food, maintain a good level of hygiene. If you're really worried, you can take some supplement like vitamin C, echinacea. These are great. These are great for, keeping your immune system nice and strong. Beyond these things, I would have just told, the average person or the average healthy person or whatever, just continue living your life as you have been. Seriously. Like, the thing with the coronavirus is, if it gets you, it's gonna get you. Like, the coronavirus isn't something you can simply run or hide from, in my opinion. If it's gonna find you, it will. Unless you have like a vacuum sealed room or something, and like, which prevents any bacteria or whatever from getting in. If you are in the position where you have one of those rooms, then fine, fair enough. You've got me. But for the vast majority who don't have access to that type of technology or whatever, camping out at home, hiding away, honestly isn't going to do you a lot of good, in my view. The virus will find you one way or another. You can't run or hide from it. Therefore, the best advice I can give you is to try and do everything you can to keep your immune system strong, so that when the virus does find you, you can kick its ass. Your immune system can just wreck it, basically, before it can properly infect your body. You can't run from the virus. It's everywhere. I'm not saying that to cause you to panic or fear or whatever. That's not my intention. My intention is to make you aware of what I believe is the reality of the situation, and to try and help you take appropriate measures to protect yourself from getting infected. But yeah, I really do hope that this lockdown situation resolves itself soon. Like, it's crazy, some of the pictures that I've seen and some of the stories that I've heard with regards to people who have just basically cleaned shelves. Entire shelves have been cleaned of like toilet paper, certain foods, certain other supplies. It's madness how much some people have, stockpiled. It's as if they're prepared for like a Cold War or something, and they need to have like 3 to 6 months supply of whatever it is, toilet paper, etc., which is completely blown out of proportion. It's highly infectious virus, yes, but it's gonna pass. It's already, like, certain countries that first contracted the virus, like China, for example, is mostly under control now. It's pretty much under control. And judging by the recent trends, I'm sure that's going to follow for the rest of the world. So there's really no reason to panic so much and just hoard every single thing you can get your hands on. It's unfounded. It's greedy. It's selfish. And it's sad to see and sad to hear that this is what humanity is become. Or at least many people have turned to, this mass hoarding. But yeah, seriously, if this lockdown does continue, I can see riots breaking out. I can see humanity turning against one another. Yeah, I can see chaos, madness erupting. It's not good. And the primary cause is that the government and the media have blown this out of proportion. And it's caused the weak-minded to panic, to become anxious, to become fearful. The blame in my opinion, the blame would then lie not only with the government and the media, but also it comes down to the individuals as well. Like, this epidemic has proven that the majority of humanity is ill-prepared for this type of catastrophe. We are not ready to appropriately deal with, an epidemic, a pandemic. The vast majority of people have overreacted. They've panicked. They're acting in fear. Nothing can be accomplished in a state of fear and anxiety. Sorry. It just breeds more fear and anxiety. And though that's the very sort of negative mental attitude which is going to weaken your immune system and invite the very thing you are trying to guard against. Which is why I recommend, well, you can't anymore because of the lockdown, but had I, let's just say I was the president, or whatever, I was the authority figure, I would have had everyone, keep calm and carry on. That's the phrase. That's the phrase people need to be abiding by. Keep calm and carry on. Oh well. Anyway, I've rambled on enough, I think. Like I said, I've written my thoughts down in an article which I've linked below, which is probably more articulate than how I can verbally explain my point of view. I am a better writer than a talker. So yeah, do feel free to check that out. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that it's had to be a bit, I guess, negative, I suppose. A bit forceful at times. But I just really wanted to get my thoughts and my views, my opinions out there. And just to basically let you, the viewer, know how to, you know, sort of best deal with the situation at hand, I suppose. Keep calm, carry on as best as you can. Don't be greedy, because they'll come to bite you in the ass. Take my word for it. Yeah, supply what you need, but don't go overkill. Anyway, mission complete. Signing out.